Okay, so I published this video where there's a technique to make money in the market where you counter trend trade it. Now, apparently, that's not exactly supposed to be a good idea. According to this guy who's asking me this question, he said, I'm typing at this point where you are showing the weekly downtrend and saying that you would buy at the bottom. Yes, I would buy low. You are correct. Of the channel, buying in a downtrend, buying in a downtrend, bro? Question. Really? You know better than that. Okay. Can I just stop at this point, go to the chart, and say, yes, I'm going to buy down there. Why would I buy down there? Because you can make money counter trend trading and trend trading. The concept here is kind of simple. You buy here, you sell where the bottom becomes the top. You place buy limits here because you're on this trend line, and then you dump here, and then you get short again. So you trade it from both directions. The idea that you only take these trades because they made a bunch of money, I'm sorry, but on the weekly chart, I'm not going to pass up a triple bottom on a channel touch. These are setups, really good setups. I'm just saying. Yes, buy here, dump here. Maybe you want to sell there. Okay, so there's a few things he says here that really trigger, or you can kind of see what his background is in trading and what he's comfortable with and what he's used to as far as what you're supposed to do. There's what you're supposed to do, what you should do, what you could have done. So this is a pretty complex topic right here, all by itself. Take a look at this comment. He says, so you know better than that. I love when people say that. Oh, you know better than that, because I feel like, yes. In what regards, right? I know a few of us really trade on the weekly time frame. I know that few of us really trade on a weekly time frame, but is what you're looking for and saying to buy the bottom of the channel in an active downtrend? That is counter trend trading unless you have other precise tools in your quiver, so to speak. I don't know what he means by that. And the tool here is the channel. You will get your ass handed to you, and quickly. Okay, that's complete garbage. Why would I have my ass handed to me quickly if I put a buy? I think he doesn't understand that you can put buy limits in the market. Like, I'm not buying here. We haven't touched the channel yet. I can't stretch this chart out. But I would go to the I can bring up a weekly. You gotta see what's going on here. This is what I drew on the screen. I'm actually playing back my video. So what I'm saying is that when we come into the channel on close on the weekly, we buy. Okay. We don't sell there, and I don't understand his active downtrend. Like, then I should sell. According to his logic, I should sell. If anything I'm saying is wrong, please correct me. I like when people say we're in an active downtrend. Well, then hell, I should get on the downtrend train. I'd probably have to go to the daily to enter, or the 4 hour, or the 1 hour, and that would depend on how tight your stop is. The idea that I'm going to get my ass kicked is another, if he's never understood that I'm not a one-trick pony. I don't just buy. I buy several different strategies. I buy several different levels. Yeah, they may blow through my stop, but you think they're not going to blow through your trend stop? I show you how to get into trends, and it's going to be on the kickback, counter trend. You're always counter trend entering into a trend. You got to learn how to counter trend trade. I don't know how long this guy's been trading. He says that he can tell I have a wide background. Okay, 30 years I've been studying the markets, been trading Forex for 6. You name it, I've done it. I've made millions, I've lost millions. You name it, I've done it, right? So it doesn't matter. The question is, am I helping this guy by showing him that there are people taking the other side of that trade and trying to show the whole point of being an iconoclast is to say, oh, really? But I know I'm on the right track here, because when people say stuff like, you know better than that, I just think, oh, I'm doing it so right. It's beautiful. If 90% of traders are textbook trading, well, my moving averages crossed over. I'm overbought on RSI. I put on one trade. I put in my stop based on the ATR. And they kick me out. They grab my stop, they rip it, and goes in the direction I knew it was going to go. Oof. Don't you hate when that happens? I know I did. And then I wised up, and I said, I wonder what's going on here. So I'm going to take you to the weekly charts. And I guess this will be a weekly update all of a sudden. I'm going to put one more symbol up here. And I kind of chopped off the screen here. But yeah, here's the setup here. On the same, this is the, okay, here it is. This is the euro, the same thing. The question is going to come down to, say that we're in an active downtrend. This is what he said. Would you sell here? No, I would buy here with a 100 pip stop tomorrow. Tomorrow night I'll be buying here. I'm already long this market, slightly. I'm not trading one ticket. The biggest secret in any endeavor is to incrementally approach. Airplanes don't land on the ground at 45-degree angles. They come in for a landing. The way you do that is critical if you want to catch a falling knife. What would you have told the trader who bought in an active downtrend? I got to go back to this phrase he said. I love this. I'm typing at this point where you're showing a weekly downtrend and saying that you would buy at the bottom. Of course you'd buy at the bottom of the channel. Buying in a downtrend? Well, then I should be selling right now at the market. Really? No. You know better than that. When he says you know better than that, I'm like, it's money in the bank. I know that a few of us, well, the thing is, it's not that. What if this was a 1 hour chart? Would this matter to you? If you were in an active downtrend, okay, it's going down. Yeah, you're going to get stopped out. You're going to get stopped out if you sell in an active downtrend if your stop's too tight, is my point. What if you sell this and your stop's 100 pips? It's in an active downtrend. In fact, this is the pullback to get in. Tis it not? Your sell limits need to be here. Some people are going to wait till it breaks here. I get that. That's textbook trading. We buy in breakouts here. You made money. I'm not saying you didn't make money. But who made more money? The guy that had sell limits here, sell limits at the double top, sell limits in this whole 100 pip zone with a hard stop here. He had scaled out take profits. It's probably too much work for most people. Active downtrend. So, depending on how we draw this channel, right? So, the entry is like this. What I'm doing is, and this is just counter trend trading, makes piles of money if you know what you're doing and if you know how to play the stops. Like, imagine you had buy limits at the double bottom here with a 50 pip stop. You only made 200 pips. It's not so bad. You only made 200 fucking pips there, risking 50. You're in an active downtrend. Why does the market go up and down? There's buyers and sellers. It's how you get in. I'll say it a million times to Tuesday. It's not what you get in, it's how you get in. Buy limits. If your stop was too tight, you did not make the 1,000 pips in the counter trend, active downtrend. Okay, pretend the market's going up and I'm long. I'm wondering when the ride's over. I'm ready to get short. It's a known fact that the market's counterintuitive. All your moving averages say down. Are they trapping the bears right here? Yes. Can we make 100 pips next week? Yes. With a 50 pip stop? Yes. Can we get stopped out of that? Yes. Are you going to trade 5 standard lots with a 50 pip stop? The 100 pip take profit? 200 pip take profit? 100 pip stop? You got to think ahead. You got to think ahead. What was the story here? What was the story here? Can I ask anybody? Can I get what? The first downtrend line you could have drawn on here is where? The first time you make a swing, you're downtrend, right? So if you want to trend trade it, you got to find a place to get short. If you place your orders up on the trend line, you never get filled. So you have to be kind of aggressive. And even after this downtrend was established, we swung high. As this is plummeting, who made more money? The guy that placed buy limits for the fake breakout of the weekly? So if you don't have to be a weekly time trader. You're putting your buy limits here based on, there's a bunch of orders down here. How much money did you make? A lot more money than the guy that didn't get filled in his perfect idealistic setup with his 50 EMA, 20 EMA, you name it. The Fibonacci Ng, Mr. Ng, the Asian trader who wrote a book that weighs about, I think weighs 300 pages. It's a $100, like $80 book, weighs a ton. So, let me switch time frame here to pick up the handles and see what you're really risking there. So how much does this guy make? How much does the guy that bought into an active downtrend at the bottom, mind you, buy low, sell high, that's how you make money, 100 pips stop. He only made 500 pips. This guy may not get filled. And even if this guy did get filled, in the direction of the trend, and I know this is what they teach everybody, and I'm just here to show you that most of the money is made not doing what the textbook says. This is just with the crudest criteria in the world, the first time you can see a swing up that is lower than the previous one, you are currently in an active downtrend. Now, if you want to get fancy pants, make an envelope out of it, you'll see that if you drag that to the close of this week, you can justify entering here. This is why Ender's pitchfork makers make a lot of money, because they got a pitchfork going through this puppy. See how we inflect off of that? See how this becomes resistance? And what I pointed out in the last plunge on my other weekly update of this exact template running on this thing, I said to everybody, sell here. Now you would say, well, that was okay because you were in a downtrend. But when this was rifling up, can anybody tell me I've not changed these order. This is it, right? This is the window. You may not have got filled on that. You had to really trade in a pocket up here. For you to be up 400 pips on this trade right now, you had to have more than one trend line, more than one entry. You need to be in multiple things. If you drag this to the pitchfork, the reason the pitchfork traders, and it's probably the best channel trading system in the world, return to the mean is the middle tine on the pitchfork. And I can't get out the pitchfork because once you get it out on the screen, it's the squirreliest thing you've ever seen. You can't control it. It's not, you don't need to. You can also build a 4-tine pitchfork. You can build a 8-tine pitchfork. Are the buyers going to come in down here? Yes. Are they after the stops here? Is your buy limit here? Yes, at 104. I'm buying right now. I went long into, I'm willing to trade this move. If your buy limit's here, you see we got filled? I'm willing to scalp to here and then hold for some of it. Now this could be a 1-hour chart, a 4-hour chart, it does not matter. What would matter though is how tight is your stop, and that's why I have the pip grid up here, and I'll put this in the link. This pip grid here, which is actually shows the old school handles. You can set this grid to whatever you want. This is the key to making and losing money. How much are you risking? I don't think people realize, and this triangle here, this is 200 pips of punishment before this leaves the station, mind you. And it is hard to believe because that trade happened, and I showed it on the non-farm payroll. The 200 pip move on the this is a setup everybody should know if they are want to trade a volatility breakout. Because if you drill down on this, now I have a line chart running, 1 period moving average, closing prices. It kicks back here, the wick, into this line. If your pending is sitting there, just like your pending should be sitting right here, and you need a cluster of pendings. You're not going to pick the exact bottom. If you're going to plan the week ahead, just like you could plan this, and I called this, I said, the sellers are going to come in here. In fact, your sell limits would have been triggered because this was the close of last week, and this is what happened last week. The weekly chart is a whole different world onto its own. Look at this. You have to understand that I said to put sell limit. You're going to sell limits. This was a week ago Friday. This is Friday's Friday, right? So if your sell limits were at the top, and then you would say to me, and maybe you wouldn't say to me, we're in an active uptrend on the weekly, why would you sell into that? But when you're in this, on the daily, you're in an active daily uptrend. If you're scared shitless about counter trend trading, don't do it. I'm not saying to do that. But all trend traders are counter trend traders. They have to enter on the counter. They can't enter with the trend right now. You're risking too much. Mechanically speaking, you're risking too much. Right? Wrong? At any point here that I fuck up, please, if you're going to say something, note the time and place that I fuck up, please. If this isn't true, then why did the sell limit here with the 50 pips, with the 100 pips stop, make 400 pips? Why did the sell limit placed at this make this? This was a trend trade, but as it's coming up on the weekly, but why not buy here and ride it into this is my whole argument with the Stapletons. We know what the fuck's going on here. This is unfair value. It comes back to fair, comes back to center, comes back to the trend traders world. Yeah, trade it both directions. That's how you have sex, right? You don't just keep inserting. Yeah, you want to so-called fuck the market. And I love here where he says, and I mean, am I being mean? If I'm being mean, somebody please pull me over on the nice highway. I'm just trying to tell him like it is. It's not my first rodeo, and it's not my first stadium of rodeos, of punishment. You name it, I've done it. And if you got a new book to throw at me, I'm willing to read it. I'm learning all day long. Right now I'm building a virtual, if I can get MetaTrader to get more than one, I can't get the market thing to load on the other platforms, so I'm getting locked out. I don't know what that's about. Apparently you have to be registered, and who knows. So when he says, you know better than that. But I like the closing line here. And the thing here, where he says, that's counter trend trading. Like that's a bad thing. And unless you have other precise tools in your quiver, so to speak, you will get your ass handed to you. I'm not sure the trend traders aren't getting their ass handed to them if they don't know how to fucking get in the market. So if you could show me your setup, where you get in, who you learn from, are you trading moving average crossovers? You know, there's a million ways of Tuesday to get in the market. You could be using horoscopes with tight stops and make money. You could be watching to see if your dog snores and you only pull the trigger then. Now you're not over trading. As long as you got a tight stop, you're doing great. And you can write a book called The Snoring Trader, The Snoring Pooch. Snoring Pooch Strategy. There are so many people participating on so many time frames in these markets. So let me go back to let me make this into a weekly update just to show you what the next trades for next week is. And yeah, we're going to buy low, sell high. That's how it's played. I think here was the obvious setup. This is a counter trend entry. Where is the balance point on the Australian versus the dollar? Where do buyers going to come in? They're going to come in on the top of this close. Now, this was a low-risk trade because they didn't stop you out, but you got to have multiple orders in here. You can't be a lazy fuck. You have to place the orders. This is the top. This is the doji. Is that worth 150 pips, 200 pips, whatever that is? Is it worth it? Did the counter trend? We're in an active downtrend. Is it okay to buy here for the bear trap? Some people were short here and they made money. I'm not saying that people that bought here on the breakout here and traded to here did not take a chunk out of the market. They let their robot trailer stop. They're like, woohoo. I'm just saying you could trade smaller and trade more aggressive. Wouldn't you rather buy a 10K here and make all these pips? Or would you rather buy a 50K here and scalp to here? We both made the same amount of money. And I'm not saying what he's saying is wrong. It's interesting that he views counter trend trading as some type of non-profitable trading. I think that's where he's going with that question. If we sell here in an active downtrend and we make this much money, we're like, what'd I tell you, bro? But what if you move your trailing stop? What if you sell too late and you move your stop to here and you get chopped? What if you trade this breakout and you put your stop in too tight? They chopped you out. What if you drew a trend line? And this is what I'm doing in this video that I'm speaking of, is how to buy low and sell high. Is you take this trend line and you draw it like this. And you're going to buy in a touch of that. Yes, it went through by 100 pips. Getting your ass handed to you means you're obviously trading with a fixed size, or you're too lazy to place small orders peppered along this whole thing to make the money all the way back into the trend entry, which is where the bottoms become tops and sellers are going to come in here. This is your target. Then you go and you trade it in the other direction. The fact that the 50 or the 20 or the whatever says we're in an active downtrend and do not take any counter trend trades is completely ridiculous, and you're missing out on opportunity. That's all I'm saying. I watch these markets day and night. I'm addicted to trading. I'm addicted to thinking. And these inflection, when you see this setup, when you see a market fail to make targets, and we see a steep move like this is a market maker move too. Don't forget, this big sell-off here isn't like, well, we're going down to China now. No, this is anything you see is fast. Slow moves are trends. Like this is a trend. This slow churning punishment is a trend. Is this a trend? That's counter trend. That's fast money. Another thing you'll notice about counter trend trading, it's quick and dirty money. Trading in the direction of this trend, there's a high probability that if your stop's too tight and if you're running robots and you have money management odds, you keep getting kicked out because you don't want to risk anything. Is it risky to buy low? Is it risk? It's all risky. Is it gambling? All trading's gambling. There's no difference. The way you interpret words. Akil Stokes says gambling. He says, well, I go to the Vegas for that. He somehow thinks that his precision Gartleys are more sophisticated and they're not risky. And it's not gambling. It's risk. There's no difference. It's like, it's like if your girlfriend won't bang you unless you take her out to dinner, well, how's that different than a hooker? On paper, it's not. But maybe you have a romantic connection to her. But how does it change your orgasm? In other words, trading is just about the profit, the orgasm. It doesn't matter how you did it. It doesn't matter if you broke the rules. That's why. Is this resistance continually? Do the range traders make money here? Do the trend traders keep getting stopped out? Yes. But to look at the bigger picture of structure, and I'm using closing prices only, this support line became resistance perfectly at a perfect trend line on close. The setups don't get much better than that. You could have got in on sell stops. Like I said, it's how you get in. Imagine the guy that traded the buy breakout here in the trend continuation because the bigger moving averages is turning up. Did he just not get trapped and raped and left for dead in the alley? And how long did you hold? Even if you were in this trade, how long did you hold? There's so much going into making a lot of money, and you have to be right 80% of the time. This 60% rule, unless you really like getting smashed in the mouth and ending up with half your teeth and you're still able to eat a meal, I don't think that's really what I'm aiming at here. I'm only looking to ask the question of why is counter trend trading evil? Evil? Why is it? Why am I going to get my ass kicked? Why am I going to get my head handed to me? Look back at all these calls I've made about counter trend entry. Look at this one. I talked about this one. I drew these last week, these lines. This is not hindsight shit. I'm telling you. This was the entry. Okay? Not a lot of pips, 200 pips. Why is that the entry? We don't need that wigwam on there. Like, drill down on this puppy. Why was that a good entry? This is the same setup. I don't know what you call this, crossover entry setup. The same setup I called on the British pound, on the euro. This happens over and over again. It even happens when it doesn't. It kind of happens in a half-assed. It's like a Gartley pattern that never makes E clear the whole pattern, and E makes money, but it doesn't clear the whole pattern. Double tops become a bottom. You made money on that. You didn't clean house. But where does the market come back to? In momentum, in time momentum, it comes back to here. Same thing here. Where do we buy? In an active downtrend, where do we buy? We buy down here. Did you get your head handed to you if you were in too deep on all that? Oh yeah. If you sold here, it's about money management. Like if you sold here and you're like, woo-hoo-hoo, then you move your trailing stop to here. How much money did you make on that trade? 150 pips? You thought it was going to go to China. If you didn't get out on your take profits, the fact that you moved your trend bot, and I'm running trend bot, I'm running multiple EAs right now to see what textbook trading. You think these EAs were written to lose money? No, they're designed to make money for particular circumstances. If you sold here because you're like, this is the pullback, we're in a downtrend, and it only makes it to here, and then they come back and they stop you out, are you saying to yourself, that trend bot, I got to rethink trend trading? Even here, if you didn't ride this properly, you're going to rethink trend trading, aren't you? I'm not trying to be mean. I'm asking, if this really works, where on the chart did it work? The entry on the euro, painfully obvious. This is going up. I got a friend that's short this thing. I don't know where to stop is. He's down a pant load of money right now. He thinks it's going to go. He doesn't think this is accumulation. Even Akil Stokes knows this is accumulation. It's going to go up. Am I counter trend trading it? According to my buddy, who's down 37,000, I am. Was this the place to get in? Yes. Did I call this? I said yes. Put your buy limits where everybody has their stops. You're up on that trade. Okay. Now we're going to sell up here in an active uptrend. And even if we weren't selling, if you were long, one man's profit is another man's entry. One man's take profit is another man's stop. This is a revolving door. If it comes up into here, yes, sellers are probably going to come in. Is it going to go down to here? Maybe not. That's why you got to spend the time and effort to place in scalps to pay for that rent. Just like I said on this euro versus the dollar yen and the euro yen. These guys run kind of similar. Yeah, you're selling up into that. the euro's running a little different. And the euro's a more vicious mover. Dollar Swiss. In an active uptrend, which you'd have to say this is kind of going up, would you sell? Yeah, you would have sold there. You'd have made money. I had that marked off. We never made the entry window. And maybe you had to have maybe you had to have a fatter window, but that was a sell. Now what do? We're in an active downtrend. We're in a bearish candle. Where would we buy? Draw a trend line. We're going to buy down here. We're going to buy down here for a couple reasons. We're going to buy because to retest this. We're going to take the 50 pips off the table, and maybe we'll make 100 pips. We have various orders down there. High probability trades. It's about the probability of the trade. What's the chances that this top here, this price back here, is resistance? Does it mean you sell that? Yeah. And will you get stopped out? Maybe. Right? Depends on how fat your stop is. If your stop's here, you made, and if you get out like one of these ratio tools, if you sold here and your stop was here and your exit was here, yes, great ratios. What if you sold every week it went up above here and you were committed to sell for the next 20 pips and get your ass handed to you? How did you do in that scalp? How did you do when you retested that zone? How did you do in that trade? Your stop was here, you made 700 pips, right? Whatever. This fallacy about, how about this one? I'm in an active uptrend. I buy in pullbacks. My stop's too tight. They kick my ass. I'd love to see what you're looking at. I'd love to see what you know. I'd love to see who. It would help me understand how you see the market. I once had a corn chart on a printed out piece of paper, and I had a pencil behind my ear, and I still had my girlfriend at the time. I hadn't dumped her yet. And I said, I'm going to look at these charts. It was a corn chart. It was a daily corn chart. I'm like, where do I get in this market? I couldn't figure it out because I'd read so many books about, well, you're waiting for this candle, and the criteria was so enormous to get in. And if I would have had the thought of like, okay, well, if I did get in, where would I put my stop? And if I started thinking the opposite direction, and I can't remember the guy who Warren Buffett finds to be a thinking man's thinking man, and I can't remember his name, but he's basically saying, flip it upside down. Flip the equation upside down. So this trend trading thing, it doesn't matter whether you're counter trend or trend trading. It matters how tight your stop is and what is your target time for profit. Here's another example. This is the down channel of the British pound. You're not making targets. Would it have been prudent to think about, and of course the market you have to draw to the market. Like if somebody comes in to the hospital and they're all smashed up, you can't view them as a person that's not smashed up. This is getting smashed, so you have to, like when you take a mold, if you take an x-ray of somebody and they're really huge, I mean, imagine they're 7 feet tall. You've got to size the x-ray machine to the patient. So the market is like having patience. Not patience like waiting patience, but I guess it's the same word, I think. So this velocity is so enormous that you've got to start to, in moving averages, do that automatically. But this is better because you're forced to find the place to hang that off of, to find your entry, your active counter trend. It's downtrend, right? And this is your entry. And maybe you started buying, and don't forget, there's people like banks that don't trade with stops, or they're in so big, they're hedged. They're just, all they're doing is, some of this movement you see is nothing but people just offsetting their books. They're not looking at an MACD. Look at this bottom became a double top. Is the British pound going to go up? Yes. Is this a trend trade? Yes. Buy the British pound. Duh. I said that last week. Buy it I said buy it Sunday night. Right? Is it here? This is the daily chart. See, it's Friday. Buy it here. I don't know. Look at this move. Is that enough pips for you? The daily chart's a whole nother world. See the difference? This is 5x away. So telling me it's an active downtrend on the weekly, take a look at the daily of this. And ask yourself something. Are you willing to sell this? Okay, this is the trap. They're trapping the trend traders. And I can already tell it's a good trade because this guy's like, are you kidding? The exit's going to be here if you buy. Your first scalp. Will I put buy limits here? Yes. Will the stop be here to make the scalp on one ticket? Yes. There'll be several orders down there. I can press a button and I can drop a grid that drops 5 orders on every 10 pip handle. I can write that script. I can just do it so it drops 100 pips deep. Not on the handle, but just 100 pips. You're canvassing an area. It's like when you go selling stuff. Why do you print up 500 business cards? Because you're going to hand out 500, and guess what? About maybe 450 of those are going to end up in the trash at the end of the week when people go, who the fuck is this idiot? And the daily, you can see that if you're going to build your channel like this, there's no entries. You'd have to go build the Anders Pitchfork. You got to bring this in and fit it to the market. So top becomes the pivot, the pip. Yeah. Do you know the exact price? I don't know. Do you know? Is your fib telling you, well, this is a fib extension, blah, blah, blah? Really? So you can get your fib tool out on this thing? I don't think that's ever going to work. I got the wrong background to show it. I mean, it's going to work if you have the right money management. That's all it is. So here was the big British pound trade. If you go to the weekly, this was the setup. And I talked about the exits not being met. That had you got in at this confluence point, this is a juicy. This setup happens over and over again. This is when the moving averages turn up for the people. Okay, first entry pull back to the double top. Okay, when this big counter trend move here, and then my projections were off of this line. Remember, you got out again on that line. Like if you forgot to get out when you bought here and you didn't get out, you could have got short again for the counter trend. But that was a scalp. And who did they trap? I had a trader in England say to me, they fucked both people. Yeah, they hit this, they triggered this guy's sell stop, and they triggered this guy's buy stop maybe. Imagine that wick's a little bit bigger. You see how they fuck everybody? They fake out buy stop here, they fake out sell stop here, and you're like, huh? This doesn't go down. They come back up here and they stop you out. When the market goes like this, they're fucking everybody that doesn't know. If you're placing orders based on this time frame and your stops are wrong, they're just chopping you to pieces. You can't just write. There's no such thing as one robot that can handle all these tasks. That's why I found out after researching it that there's one-trick robots. They have one mindset. They do one thing. And they have one or two, maybe, if you're lucky, exits built in. I don't know how sophisticated they get, and I gave up trying to find somebody to write it, so I'm just going to tweak the ones that are free and run them against each other. Diversification of trading styles. So I'm just going to assume that this guy asking me the question comes from the school of conventional wisdom. And you can make money doing that. There is no doubt, right? You will get kicked out. But every account I've ever blown up, demo or real, I've said to myself, maybe I could have made that money instead of losing it. And what would that have meant? Now here's a one that people have a hard time trading, because this is very much a limit orders man's game, this one, where there's sells up here at the top to put a sell limit at that wick, and based on this have a sell limit, and based on this have a sell limit. Did that make money last week? Yes. Is that counter trend in a strong weekly uptrend? Don't forget the monthly trend's up too. So here's another example of how to make money counter trend trading. I know my screen's off the edge here, but these are the 100 pip. The blacks are the 100s and the blues are your limit orders. Look at this trap. Are people buying into that? I don't think this guy is. I'm going to say right off the bat that in an active downtrend, I love all these words, and he didn't use the word bearish. There's a whole host of trigger words that people are tuned to. In an active downtrend, would you buy? Fuck yeah. And you know, that's how these guys are getting killed, these Akil Stokeses. They're selling here. My friend who's shorting the thing, he sells cents here. So, and he thought, he's selling here thinking it's going to continue down. But how could that possibly be true? If you look at every chart on the planet, like, look at this sideways action. Do you have a trade plan for this? If you don't, yeah, you're just getting clobbered, right? You think this is the top. Oh, look at it. It's failing. Maybe it's not. Are you willing to go the other way? Probably not if you got a bias. And when it's really up like this, here's a counter trend trade that didn't work out. But how did this one work out? How did this counter trend trade work out for you? Sell, 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 sell. Wow. Of course. Party's coming to an end. All trends come to an end. The trend's your friend till it's not. And I don't know what else to say. If you got something, if I didn't cover it here, let me know. I love when people ask me questions. I'm not trying to be mean. I'm just being direct. And I'm asking the question. Is it okay to trade both directions? Is it okay to be is it okay to be unbiased? Is it okay to see the other guy's trade and say, yeah, I see the trend trade, but in the meantime, what do I do with my money? I'm not going to wait all day for this entry here. I'm not going to wait all week. I sell them in here. If I'm long here and my exit's here, I have a sell limit here, say, but on some other currency pair or on the other time frame, if I go to the daily, what's the story in the daily? Now, mind you, this is a whole day passing, which to me is 24 hours of just, really? So, when this was coming down into an active downtrend on the daily, at some point, the trend's no longer gonna be your friend. It's gonna turn on you like a Doberman pincer, right? And even that this was going up, what about these counter trend wackos? When you counter trend trading, you're range trading. But aren't you counter trend entering here? Your buy limit's at this top. The market comes back on the news, bam. Did you buy here and make a few pips? Did you buy here and get stopped out? Possibly. Did you buy here? Did you buy here all the way to here and blow up the account, and then you're like, if I just had more margin, I would have made it to here? Yes. I think we've all done that. Damn, I was right in the long run. This top becomes the inflection. Doesn't get better than that. If you don't think people were shorting here, because we're in a downtrend, don't forget you're in a downtrend, right? If you zoom out, what's the trend? And this is a whole nother issue. When I first heard about this trend shit, I said, well, what's the trend here? Is it up or is it down? If it's up, I should be buying. Well, let me place a channel in and start buying. Okay, about here. How about here? Seriously? please get the fuck out of your car. God, people. How lazy. I mean, that's why you're fat. See, people have cars and they have remote controls. Get the fuck out of your car. Damn. Oh my God. It's my psycho fucking neighbor. All right. We've got some unreasonable people in the neighborhood here, so sorry about that. But I get where this guy's coming from, and it's a valid question. I mean, you know better than that. Really? No? Well, who do you think's making all the money off these people that are on the wrong side of the market? Go watch, I'm trading just like, go look at Market Wizards, the book by Jack Schwager. I'll put a link to that in here. Look at contrarian trading. That's what I'm doing, right? But I don't know. I'd love to see what this guy's charts look like and his position sizing. And I'm just saying that if you're gonna be right, why not split your order, right? Well, people just don't split their order because they're greedy. They're like, well, you know what? I want to make this is such a great setup. I'm gonna bet the ranch on this puppy. What if it isn't the greatest setup? You need scalps in there to pay the rent. You need scalps in there, and having your head handed to you comes from being in one position too large, with not enough money in the account to come back and do that same strategy. Could you have got stopped out 5 times in a row in a single order and got back in? Yeah, but you know what? If you compromise and you scale in and out of this stuff, you don't have to stand there. You don't grow a forest with one tree. I don't know what else to say, but let me know at what point here that I'm wrong, and I'd love to hear the answer.